Should you quit your job? Ow, I just turned on the lamp and I misjudged the distance and whacked my head. Okay, I hope my advice is better than that. Welcome back. This is Sarah. I'm going to do another reaction video because people keep posting like really good information and I want to share it and then give my 2 cents as well. So welcome to my channel. I'm a freelance writing business coach and I've been in the industry for about a decade, mostly in B2B. But I love helping people figure out how to earn an income and be a business person when they haven't had that training before. So let's watch How to Know It's Time to Quit Your Job by Hannah Malu.
If you've been contemplating quitting your 9-to-5 but struggle with actually finally making the decision whether it's time to quit or not, this video is for you.
I'm going to go ahead and stop you right there. Don't quit your job. Now is not the time to be quitting your job. I know it's weird for a freelance business coach to say that and someone who's happily freelanced almost a decade, but now is not the time, unless you're experiencing some really profound workplace trauma. The first thing I recommend people do is actually just use up all your PTO. Because sometimes when you want to quit your job, it's just that you're really sick of how everything's going and you need a break. So if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, you have PTO, the very first thing is to work on your boundaries at work, get to a refreshed place, and then start making dreams about leaving your job. The absolute last thing you want to do is take toxic workplace stress, leave your job, and then add recovering from toxic workplace stress to starting a business stress, not having clients stress. Like that's how you would hit this downward spiral and things just get worse and worse. So, I mean, we haven't even started yet. We're 9 seconds in, and so this might ruin the whole video, but let's see how it turns out.
Welcome. In case you're new here, my name is Hannah and I quit my full-time corporate job almost 2 years ago now.
Now, I do kind of wish that quitting your job would make you start to look like her, but that did not happen for me. So just FYI.
To be my own boss. And in this video, I want to share what helped me to actually make the decision, as well as what I've learned since then and what I wish I kept in mind before actually quitting. The video is going to be divided into 2 parts for 2 kinds of people. First type of people are the ones who have a very big need for safety or security and have probably been thinking about quitting for years now, but still have not done so. And then there are the types of people like me who tend to just go with their gut and who maybe saw someone on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram talking about how they quit their job 3 months ago and are now living their dream life with lots of money and not a lot of work. So they think, I can do that too. I'm going to quit tomorrow.
Okay, I just have to compliment the framing of this. This is perfect. There are totally those 2 types of people. And it's really interesting to see that that's also going to overlap with a lot of Enneagram stuff. I am really into the Enneagram. For example, I don't think we're ever going to see a 1, a 5, or a 9 just up and quit their job. That's not in their DNA. Probably not a 6 either. But I could totally see this from a 3, an 8, or a 7. So just something to keep in mind.
Okay, so part 1, safety seekers. So I'm guessing that you are in a situation right now where you have a job, which is kind of fine. It's paying your bills, maybe even a bit more than that. Maybe you can even go on a nice vacation once or twice, or maybe 3 times a year. You can get your nails done. You can go to a fancy gym. You can have dinner with your friends regularly. So you're thinking you have a lot to lose if you quit that secure job with your secure paycheck, but not only the money, then there's also the structure. You have a job that tells you how to spend your day and that tells you what you need to do in order to be successful, aka be promoted. Plus there's the status. Maybe you have a fancy title. Maybe you work at a fancy company, or at least an okay company, so that when someone you just met asks you, what do you do for a living? You can say, I'm a marketing manager for Google, or whatever it is that you think is cool, or whatever your title in your company is. And, or at the very least, you have a job, you're employed, aka your parents do not annoy you with saying you need to get a job. But let me burst your safety bubble here a little bit, because you're never really safe in a sense. Especially if you work in the US, but also in most countries, I think, if you're not in Germany, companies can just fire you just because your boss does not like the way you scratch your head or something like that. But even if you have a nice company that's not going to fire you, you still are most likely not earning as much money to save up enough money to be able to afford not only the nice things in your life, but also the urgent things.
Isn't that interesting that talking about quitting your job automatically becomes a conversation about money and budgeting? I think that that is a really good way to prep for what this whole life is about. Because there's so many traps you can fall for there. Even, let's say everything goes great. You have this freelance writing career. It's paying better than everything else. It's still a matter of how much of that money are you spending each month and how much are you saving. So for me, I was doing this for so long, but I never learned how to save. I'm still really not great at it. but I kept telling myself I could out-earn all of these problems. And so all that did was make my problems bigger. So I started adding zeros to what I was earning. I hit 200K a couple of years in a row, but I still was in that paycheck to paycheck space. So I think this video is just very wise. Figure out the budgeting side of things. Figure out how to make the money that you're making work really well for you. And I bet she's going to get to this, but once you get to a safety net, then you can start thinking about, do I want to actually quit? Sorry, my cat is being super cute, and she just pushed her little paw out and stretched it behind the computer. I'll add a little picture.
Let alone to afford the really good things or the really expensive things, which often is connected to health. So as you can probably tell, I do not think that you should see an employee, a 9-to-5 corporate full-time job as secure ever. That should, in my opinion, especially if you live in the US, not be the reason.
I mean, I was laid off, so this is just true. And I think, it's really harping on the whole fire layoff thing, which I know can make it seem one-sided and biased and stuff. But I think it's just what's really happening is it's not like lightning could strike and you get fired. It's just that the business world is built to constantly reevaluate how many people work there. So multiple times per year, people are just always assessing if they could get rid of you or not. And there are some departments or skills and stuff that might be less susceptible to this. But that sensation of never really knowing if you're one of the ones who's going to be cut, like once it happens to you, I don't think you really get over that. Another thing to think about is that when you go freelance or consulting, you have to take on all of these other tasks that you might never have done before, and you might not know if you hate it or not. So when you work for a company, one of the ways that structure is helping you is that you have other people. Let's say you're an engineer, you have other people doing the marketing, the sales, the accounting, the professional development, the HR stuff. But when you're on your own, it's just all you. It's all you. For some people, that's super fun. For many of us, that's really stressful. And that is just a permanent trade-off.
Second, if you do quit your job and you work on your own business or travel or whatever, you're not in that structure of the company anymore, which first can be a bit lonely sometimes, and second can be challenging, especially for the type of people who struggle with disciplining themselves, because you now have to tell yourself what you do all day long. And especially, you have to tell yourself what means success to you.
Yeah, I really don't mean to harp on the Enneagram and like what people can or can't do, but I think as far as people's inclinations, oh, she did the wrong thing again. Okay, it's too cute. As far as people's inclinations, I think 3s are going to have a really hard time saying when is when, what is success. 2 are going to over-deliver and people please and probably burn out. 1s will be fine. 8s will be fine. And then 4s and 7s are going to have a really hard time sticking to what they need to do to get paid and not going off on side quests a lot of the time. 5s, I think, are going to find themselves feeling insecure and needing to study a bunch. And that's where you get into procrastination learning and this endless loop. And then 9s, I don't really know what's up with 9s. I don't know a lot about 9s.
No matter what the metrics say, and the metrics being, sales or money coming in or people being interested in you, however you want to define it. But the most obvious advantage of having a 9-to-5 job is that it does pay for the roof over your head and your food on the table. Which brings me to the type B type of people, the let's just quit type of people, who are perhaps not really in love with their job. They don't like their Sunday evenings because they only can think about them on the mornings where they have to go to that job. And of course, your algorithm knows this and keeps showing you channels of people who quit their job and are now very successful and have up. So you're thinking, they did it. Seems easy. I can do it too. I should quit next week. You're going to be anxious a lot because you just don't know how you're going to pay your rent or your food, let alone doing fun things and just living life. And let me tell you that this can really mess up your mental health. Plus, it's really easy to feel like a failure if you quit your job without already having something built and you have to start from zero, because it takes time to build a business. It takes time to be successful. So as you might guess, I am suggesting you to not make the decision too quickly, but also not too slowly. But instead, what I recommend, what I learned from my recent past.
Oh, this is going to be good. I wonder what the perfect time to quit is. I don't think I know what she's going to say. So we're watching it together.
Is you should be prepared, but not overly prepared, because you will never feel 100% ready probably to quit your job. It's kind of like the people say you will never be 100% ready to be a parent. I think it's kind of similar when it comes to quitting your job and being an entrepreneur or solopreneur or whatever it is that you want to do.
Gosh, this is just such hard advice, because the people who are capable of planning for this change and saving the money are the people who will have the hardest time pulling the chute on it and do it. And then the people who have that muscle to just do stuff that's scary I think they have a really hard time planning and saving up for stuff. So maybe this is where you could rely on your personal network or people in the space or your partner. And maybe if you're the saver, they're the spender, like you work that out and you get encouragement from them about when it's time to quit. And then vice versa, you rely on them to help you save so that you're prepared for it. I just impressed myself. I think that's a good idea.
And I think a great way to find the golden middle between never ever making the decision and making the decision too quickly is what I did, which is to get a part-time job, part-time, that is 100% remote, that is also kind of cool, aka that you don't hate doing, aka that doesn't suck out more energy out of you than is necessary. And then you can use the rest of the week. For example, if you have a 20-hour job like me, you can use the remaining 20 hours or more than that to work on your own stuff. And in my opinion, I think the absolute latest time to quit, because even if you do the part-time thing, you can also just stay in that situation, which is fine if you're happy in it. But if you're not, I think personally that the absolute latest time to quit should be when the income of your side business or your business or whatever you're doing next to your employed job, if that income is more than the one you get from your job, or at least the full-time equivalent of that job.
It's a good idea to look for, like, when has the income from this generated enough for me to really make that jump and float on, as Modest Mouse said a couple decades ago. But there's a couple caveats to that, because if you are working on something else and giving your energy to it, what I've seen happen to some people is that life just sucks so much out of you, like living a daily life, that you talk a big game about working on your business when you aren't at that 20-hour job, but it just takes up all your time anyway. So the only way I've seen people work their way out of that is to do stuff with their calendar so that they wake up and do their side business stuff first. So the first 15 minutes, the first hour of each day, whatever, you're spending it on your freelance writing business. And then you're going and doing the other stuff, because otherwise life will just take it from you.
I think when it comes to this, sometimes if you're a type of person like me who tends to make very quick decisions, it can help to think things through a little bit more than you might want.
Yeah, it's hard to not oversimplify this, because looking back, I can see this is really just about money. If you have runway, runway is what it's called when you have enough operating expenses to keep doing your thing without new clients coming in the door. I think if you have runway, you can freelance quite a bit more confidently. The most stress-free people, the most resilient people I know have 6 months to a year of runway in their bank account. That is not me, but it sounds really nice. I'm always working on that. So my advice, if you're trying to figure out how to know it's time to quit your job, it really is going to come down to, one, you have worked on and established healthy boundaries with that job, assuming there's nothing toxic or terrible going on. You have saved up a ton of money, and you have tried out the new thing to make sure you're going to like it a little bit. You've had like 1 or 2 clients, maybe earned $2,000 or $3,000. I think that's going to be the minimum viable quit my job path. Boom, boom.